when I see the written word and I get an idea in my head if I choose the title or if I read through the lyrics.
When I look at the words on the page, I get an idea of what I want to do with the title or the songs. Sir Elton John, the showy piano legend, may amaze people all over the world with his sequined outfits and amazing shows. But behind those fancy glasses is one of the most bluntly honest voices in music. During his 50-year career, Elton has never been afraid to say what he thinks about other artists of the time. Not at all. They want to do their own thing. They really want Elton. They want me to play the piano, but not like usual Elton. Why are you in this business if you can't say what you really think? He is said to have told The Guardian one time. Elton's harsh criticisms have been directed at everyone in the music business from rock stars to pop stars. His fights over music aren't just random explosions. They come from the ideas of a man who fought his way to fame and has strong feelings about what makes art and music real. Today we're going to list the 6 bands that the piano great said were the worst. Elton and some of the biggest names in music could never get along because of the bad relationships, hurtful words, and musical differences. The Rolling Stones, Elton's longest-lasting musical grudge is against rock's perennial bad boys, the Rolling Stones. The band has been around longer than Elton, but their approach to making music couldn't be more different. The strain first came to the surface in the middle of the 1970s, when both bands were at the top of their game in terms of sales. A source says that during a meeting behind the scenes at Madison Square Garden, Elton told Mick Jagger, "Darling, not everyone can pull off both the band and the solo career. Some of us were meant to be solo stars. Some people should keep their day jobs." What annoyed Elton the most was what he saw as the Stones' failure to change musically while keeping their rebellious image. Elton wasn't shy when he talked to Rolling Stone magazine in February 2011. "Being the bad boys of rock in your 60s. What's so rebellious about that? True rebellion is not playing the same 3 notes over and over again." The fight got worse when Elton's more theatrical shows started to do better than the Stones' more simple rock shows. Keith Richards wrote in his book that Mick was furious that Elton's elaborate Madison Square Garden shows in the 1970s made the Stones shows look simple in comparison. His answer was that they might not have to worry about being overshadowed if they focused less on trying to look cool and more on the music. Even though it's been years, the anger is still there. Elton is said to have told a reporter about the Stones' 50th anniversary tour in February 2013. "Celebrating longevity is one thing, but shouldn't there be something new worth celebrating in those 50 years? Refuge." The fiery competition between Elton John and the British pop sensation Oasis perfectly shows how old-school professionalism in music clashed with the brash attitude of the new wave of rock in the 1990s. The Gallagher brothers and Elton's friendship started out well. In fact, Liam and Noel were invited to Elton's house for dinner in 1997. But a former helper who was there that night says things went badly when Noel called Elton's music dad rock. It was said that Elton replied, "At least my dad didn't have to listen to your whining for a whole childhood." The fight got worse when Elton said that Oasis were notoriously unreliable during their 2000 show. As he said on BBC Radio, "The true test of skill isn't how many hotel rooms you trash. It means being there for the fans who paid a lot of money to see you." Some of these young acts believe that being tough makes them real. It doesn't. It means they aren't experts. Elton seemed to be especially angry about the Gallaghers' lack of respect for musical skill. In an interview with NME, Noel said that anyone can write a piano song. Elton is said to have told his close friends, "Let him try. You can't just bang out 3 sounds. You have to make something that will be popular beyond next week's charts." The tension hit its highest point at the 2000 Brit Awards, where Elton is said to have talked to Liam behind closed doors about his behavior. An audience member who saw the conversation said that Elton gave a harsh critique. "Talent that isn't used is just noise, honey. You're the biggest sound in British music right now. Light and electricity music." One of the most interesting artistic clashes in music is Elton's dislike of Jeff Lynne's Electric Light Orchestra, a fight between 2 piano-driven pop bands that use very different ways of adding orchestration to their songs. It is said that the fight started in 1975, when both artists were making rock records with lots of orchestral music. A studio tech who worked with both Elton and Ello says that Elton thought Ello's sound was overproduced circus music with classical grandiose ideas. Ello's Evil Woman was climbing the charts while Elton's Island Girl was falling. Elton is said to have told his band, "Anyone can make hit records when there are 40 bloody violins drowning out the melody." When critics started comparing the ways they made movies, the battle got tougher. A music reporter said that Ello's classical style was the future of pop, which is said to have made Elton angry during a recording session. "I'll be happy to stay in the past where the songs really matter if the future of music is hidden under fake strings and fake arrangements." The competition wasn't just about music, it was also about ideas. Lynn was interested in a sound that was carefully put together, while Elton felt that songs should be able to touch people directly. Elton couldn't help but poke fun at someone in an interview to promote his 1976 album Blue Moves. "Some people think that arranging means being musical. It doesn't. Most of the time it means hiding bad music behind a wall of sound." Even though they had similar commercial success for years, they never worked together or openly made up. This shows that even between two of rock's best pianists, artistic differences can be very strong. After the fact, Elton told a reporter that not all disagreements in music end with a handshake, some are differences in creativity that won't go away. Queen Elton's tangled relationship with Queen shows how personal chemistry and artistic differences can lead to a long-lasting musical rivalry even when the two artists act like friends in public. It is said that the fight started in 1974, when Queen and Elton were both recording at the same London studio. A sound tech who was there says that Elton thought Queen's loud style was just silly theater music. It is said that Elton told his boss John Reid that anyone can have a hit if they spend 3 weeks layering vocals when Bohemian Rhapsody beat Island Girl on the charts. "Some of us like to do things right the first time." Elton was especially annoyed by Freddie Mercury's flashy stage persona, which many reviewers said was a lot like his own. Elton is said to have joked to his crew backstage at Live Aid in 1985, "Darling, there's only room for one queen in British rock, and I've worn that crown for years." When Mercury began working with friends they both had, the competition became more personal. After Queen's work with David Bowie led to the album Under Pressure, Elton is said to have told a Rolling Stone reporter off the record that Freddie's always been desperate for artistic credibility. "Some of us don't need to get it from David." Even though there were problems, Elton kept up a public friendship with Mercury, especially when Freddie was sick. This complicated relationship shows that professional competition and personal respect can exist together, which is something that is missing from many of Elton's more straightforward fights. He later wrote in his autobiography that in this line of work, your fiercest rivals are often the people you quietly look up to the most. Moby. Elton's dislike of Moby is a classic example of the clash between traditional music and electronic production. Elton was always quick to point out this generational split. The bad feelings started to show in 1999, when Moby's album Play became a worldwide hit. During an interview backstage at the Grammys, Elton is said to have laughed and said buttons aren't musicianship. "Some of us learned how to play our instruments for decades before we called ourselves artists." It is said that when Elton heard that Moby had formal training, he didn't think it mattered because all they did was sample other people's music. What really annoyed Elton was all the praise Moby got from critics. After Rolling Stone said that computer music was the future of pop, Elton is said to have told his band this while they were practicing. "There will be no more music for me if the future is sitting alone in my bedroom with a computer. These people who only use electronics will never understand that music is about connecting with other people." When both artists were booked for the same European event in February 2002, things got worse. A stage manager said that Elton refused to share the kitchens, saying, "I don't break bread with people who break records apart for a living." Even as computerized music became more popular, Elton didn't change how he felt about it. When asked by the BBC in February 2010 about Moby's impact on current music, Elton didn't hold back. Is that what it's called when someone adds a sound to someone else's work and calls it their own? That was called something else back in my day. Many of Elton's fights ended amicably over time, but his dislike of computer music and its star Moby has stayed strong. This shows how strongly he believes in the traditional way of making music. When it comes to the Beatles, Elton's friendship with them and his solo work after they broke up show that personal ties and harsh criticism of art can coexist. A close friendship developed between Elton and John Lennon, who worked with him on Whatever Gets You Through the Night, and had Elton play at Lennon's last live show. However, Elton had much less positive feelings about the other ex-Beatles. Elton is said to have told Melody Maker in 1976 that watching a Beatle make bad music is like watching Michelangelo paint by numbers. This was in reference to Paul McCartney's Wings. It hurts my body to see it. He also made it clear that he didn't like George Harrison's moral guidance. Elton is said to have told his drummer, Nigel Olsson, that all that mystical nonsense is just a cover for not having any good melodies left after seeing Harrison's show for Bangladesh. It's going to take me a long time to handle one more Sidar solo. But it was Ringo Starr's work as a single artist that Elton criticized the most. When Starr's 1974 album Goodnight Vienna came out, Elton is said to have made a joke to a record boss at a party. "Dear, being the fourth most skilled bug is like being the third least interesting crayon color." It hurt even more that Elton was criticized because he was compared to other artists who had had similar financial success. Elton is said to have told Rolling Stone off the record that the Grammys have become a retirement home for fading legends after McCartney's Band on the Run got a Grammy nod. "Some of us are still making music that is current, even though we aren't riding the wave of popularity from the 1960s. Even though these things were said, Elton insisted that his friendship with Lennon showed that he wasn't just ignoring the Beatles' legacy, but also the paths some of their members took after they broke up. He wrote in his autobiography that great bands rarely have solo careers that are just as good. Lightning only hits once, and if you try to bottle it twice, you'll only end up with an empty jar. From rock legends to electronic pioneers, Elton John's fights with musicians show us more about how perfectionist he was than about the artists who made him mad. Elton has never been afraid to say what he thinks, and he has done this throughout his work. There was more to these fights than just dislike between people. They had fundamentally different ideas about what makes music real. Whether he was criticizing the Rolling Stones for sticking to formulas too closely, Oasis for not being professional enough, or Moby for using electronic music, Elton has always put traditional songwriting and live performances ahead of everything else. Elton's fights have become as famous as his hit songs as he gets close to his sixth decade in the music business. They show that the artist doesn't want to separate his music from his beliefs. Don't forget to hit the like button if you liked this musical look at Elton's most famous rivals. Sign up for more in-depth looks into the past of music, and let us know what you think in the comments. Did we miss any famous fights between Elton? Add what you know below and join the discussion. Next week we'll talk about the crazy band breakups that changed music history for good. You should not miss it.